and welcome to Talk Together. Thank you for joining us for an evening of talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I am Rebecca Hare. I will be your host tonight, and I am so excited. I am chatting to the excellent Natalie Winter. Nat, if someone's been living in a basement and doesn't know who you are? Why are you here? Why should we care?
Hi, I'm Nat. I use she, her pronouns. I'm here in this room because I'm contractually black. No, I'm not. I'm because I am part of the Roll Together team of people that play the games and sometimes ask the questions as well. But this time I am the one answering the questions. What was the other question you asked me? Why should people care? I don't know. Why are you here? Who are you? We've covered all of that. It's just because you want to spend an hour talking to me, right? That's the only reason. That is the main reason, actually.
Good. You'll just give me a little scorecard at the end of how well I did hosting compared to how you would have done hosting. And
I have clocked the time that we started this. So I'm looking forward to pulling a Rebecca later. And when we get to the like 57, 58 minutes, going to push you to ask another one.
Yeah, but I'm not Tom. I'm not a pushover. I will just go, no, Nat, we're done. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Mid-sentence, cut off.
Yeah. If it was, a guest, I'd be really nice and kind and go, yeah, keep talking. It's fine, but because it's you.
Right, sure. Yeah, you can be a bully. Right, fine. I see how it is.
Baby. Quick, I'm going to carry on with the intro before my true colours are revealed. The worst bully in Roll Together. Okay. Other than apparently bullying that, we will be going through some questions and probably getting really distracted a lot of times and going on a lot of fantastic tangents. And as always, what questions I ask? Well, as always, my lovely D20 will decide. Before we kick off, this stream will run for exactly an hour. Maybe not. I'll do my best. It will be about an hour. We are, as always, delighted to be sponsored by Hero Forge, Ultra Pro, and Elderwood Academy, and to be supported by D&D Beyond, Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. We are Roll Together RPG on all social media, and as always, a huge thank you to our brilliant D20 Club, our dice heads on Patreon. Join them. They're amazing. We have a wiki. We have a Discord. All of those things are now in the Twitch chat. They're very exciting. And our shows are available as podcasts as well. If you just search Roll Together RPG on pretty much any podcasting app, I think you should find us. Right, now that's out of the way, let the bullying commence.
Oh
no! Otherwise known as asking you to talk about D&D.
Terrible, awful behaviour.
The worst. I'm so sorry. Right, shall I roll the dice?
Good. I want you to... Go on, Rebecca.
I can't. I have pride and dignity.
Do you though?
It's 15. What is a 15? A 15. Ooh, I want to know the answer to this, which is good, really, because I'm asking the question. Nat, where do you start when you're making a character?
Okay. Depends, and that's probably the answer to most questions. Is some kind of ephemeral
Great. Moving on.
Yeah. Good. Probably would start with the campaign. So if it's a specific setting, a specific place, or a specific type of campaign, then I want to make sure there's a character that fits that world, or the obviously the don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the rough story outline that the DM has given us. Or if it's a bit more open and could be anyone, then I have when I first started, it was definitely more of I don't know, what sounds like an easy class to play kind of thing. And then as I kind of went on, I started getting more character ideas. So I've got a few on the back burner of if they fit, I will play this character. But if not, I'll come up with something new. Valka came from wanting specifically to play an older character that had, because I just played Mirren, who had tragic backstory, and then at the same time I was on Merely Role Players podcast playing my character Gwynedd, who It's also Welsh, paladin-esque, and had tragic backstory. And I was like, I wanted to play a character that had like a really like normal life and is now turning to adventuring. So that, and then I had the idea of like, well, what if she is older? Well, what if she's a barbarian and older? So she's this old lady, but also like hench. And so that's kind of where Valka came from. So now I just have a kind of a roster of, here's some characters I would like to play. Because I've now because I played a wizard in a home game with you.
You did.
For the longest time, the wizard was like the thing I was building up to because so many spells and don't know what to do. I've now played one of every class apart from Bloodhunter. So that's very cool. So now I'm not like trying to fill a rota of all what haven't I played. Yeah.
Okay. I'm still ticking the last couple off the list on my what haven't I played. I'm very impressed. I haven't played a wizard other than a one shot or like my training wheels campaign when I had no idea what I was doing, and I've never played an artificer or a bloodhunter, so need to get those ticked off. I have finally played my first ranger in a one shot in a home game with you.
Yes.
Yeah,
which was very fun.
Can you give us a sneak preview of any of those characters you have on the back burner, or do we just have to wait and see them appear and stream at some point?
Well, I'd like to play Badger again, actually, who was my wizard, little gnome wizard who had troll doll hair that was like black with a white streak. I'd like to have a go with her at a higher level because chronergy magic sounded just bonkers and fun. Because I think that was the thing when I was looking at wizards, that some of the other subclasses have really strong leanings towards character and story.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas wizards, it's kind of, here is the rough collection of spells that you'll start out with, but you can really do anything. And I think that was possibly why another reason for me kind of not being as drawn to them to start with, because I was like, I didn't have any sparks of ideas come out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then when I saw chronergy magic and is it graviturgy magic as well, like they're very cool ideas. So that sparks a bit more. Yeah, she's one. And then I have an idea for a Warforged sorcerer, which I don't want to talk about actually, because if I get to play her, then it'll be fun secrets.
Amazing. We'll just have to wait and see. How did your usual character creation compare then with making Thomas?
So Thomas was pretty much pre-made.
Okay.
Because we had the specific archetypes from Ludia. We had this is the character, this is what he looks like, this is his rough backstory. I mean, there was a lot of leeway to play with. But when it comes to like literal character sheet crunching,
mm-hmm.
Chris and I sat down and were like, right, well, we know he's a fighter. We know he's a battle master fighter. And there was actually a short period where I didn't realize that it had to be battle master fighter. And I went through all of the different fighter subclasses and I was like, oh, would that work? Would this work? Oh, maybe he could be a rune knight and be big. No, he's a battle master. Because of course he is, because of all the tactical stuff and all of the defensive stuff that he can do. Yeah, and then we just went through and picked the maneuvers that just made sense.
Mm-hmm.
There are actually character sheets, official Ludia character sheets for all of the Warriors of Waterdeep on their website that were there before we came along and made our version. So it's pretty similar to that.
How did you, because you are a professional actor, getting into character is a thing you do, how did it compare with then playing a character you have made with playing a character that was sort of handed to you?
Yeah, it was different, and it did require a bit of thinking. And then there were definitely moments, especially earlier on, where it felt like we do get feedback from Ludia and Stephen. Hey, Stephen's great. Just being like, yeah, you're doing a good job, and that was really important, I think, because there was the the pressure and the worry of, well, what if my version of this character is not what they had in mind at all? When we first started, we didn't know if we were going to get a second and third series. So wanted to make sure that I had obviously the idea from what they gave to me about the brief description of what Thomas was like. I knew I wanted to go in with him being shy and insecure about his abilities, but then by the end of the series have a bit of growth on that. But then knowing once we knew that we could do more, then that was a great opportunity to kind of push it even further. But yeah, there's always the worry of like, oh, am I going to overstep the mark? Whereas with like Valka is me. with a bit more northern Nana sass.
Know you in 40 years?
Hopefully so. Like, I can only aspire. But yeah, all of the stuff that comes out of a character that you've created and that is intrinsically yours can be just you reacting in the moment. Whereas I think with Thomas, I do sometimes, I have in the past done a little bit more thinking, making notes, being like, what in this situation, what would I do? Not too much, because part of the beauty of all this is that it is improv and stuff comes out of the play. But yeah, there's definitely just been a bit more thought and consideration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then in comparison, because you are currently gracing our screens twice a week, which is brilliant.
It's very selfish.
Where did Skitter come from? I love her so much. I love Thomas so much. I love everything you do, Nat. It's hard. But where did she come from, and how does the experience of playing the two differ, I guess?
Skitter was actually originally an artificer.
Ooh.
Yeah, in my head. And I had this idea of her being this artificer, and she had this little homunculus that was linked to, again, this is a tragic backstory, but child that she'd been separated from kind of thing, but would have the same, she would have been a bit older, and she would still have that same kind of enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make sure that this time round I played a character who did not have imposter syndrome.
What? That doesn't sound like a character you played.
3 characters in a row for all together I've played that have had it. Actually, no, Polly doesn't. Polly
doesn't. Valka, Thomas, and who's your third?
Mirren.
Oh, of course.
It was the first one I did with Roll Together.
Yeah, she was a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to make sure I was playing a character that was much more confident and much less concerned about being careful and doing the right thing. It's just enthusiastic and excited to explore. Yeah, because sometimes you need that palate cleanser.
I have, watched the first episode, and the minute that Skitter bounced on, I was like, oh, this is great. This is going to be good.
I'm glad. Are you pleased that I've made sure that your mishearing about the statues in Waterdeep is now properly cemented in canon?
I don't know whether to be proud or ashamed. I think I am both. For those who have not caught up on this bit of Waterdeep lore, when Liz was finishing off their campaign in the Halls of the Undermountain King, they were setting the scene ready for a Shadowfell Symphony, and the God-catcher giant statue had vanished. And I was convinced Liz had said that was a giant naked person that we could all see out of our window every morning. They'd been really clear that there was this giant statue with a big bum that we just looked at every morning. I must have imagined that there were no clothes. Let's not examine that too closely. And therefore, I repeated my mistake at the start of Shadowfell Symphony, and it's just become embedded in Waterdeep lore. And thank you so much. That has
So
continued into
So
chaos
welcome.
in the collection, with now, I believe, anatomically correct drawings in Skitter's notebook
Yes, on her map.
on her map.
Mm-hmm. Which again, like I'm not sure how good this map. It's definitely not anywhere near as good as anything that Swarovski would draw. But Skitter is enthusiastic, if not technically skilled.
So enthusiastic anatomy.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh dear, this one's never going away, is it?
No.
Okay. It's always nice to do some world building, just that wasn't the sort I intended to do. Shall we roll the dice? Another question.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh, that is a 13. What is a 13? A 13 is Nat. What do dice mean to you?
The arbiters of chaos, the delightful arbiters of chaos. I'm not particularly a dice goblin. I try to be minimalist where possible, and also environmentally friendly where possible as well. So as beautiful as they can be, I love looking at pictures. There's so many really talented dice makers out there that put all sorts of incredible things in them. Like I've seen ones that got like little tiny rubber ducks. I think Em said the Em's got some with tiny chickens.
Chris has bought me some.
Right.
They were showing me, and I made all the right enthusiastic noises. And I think now there are some in the post for me. I'm very excited.
There you go. But yeah, this is the grand total of all the dice I own for D&D dice. I have many other D6s because we have a ridiculous board game collection, and we have Perudo, Liar's Dice, and so we have plenty of D6s. But in terms of the full polyhedral set, I have one, and so far that's okay. I've found myself to be neither blessed nor cursed with them. I think if there's a George and Rebecca scale, I feel like I fall somewhere in the middle, where some days are better than others, but generally it balances out. And yeah, they're doing me just fine. If I was gonna get more, I'd probably want to make sure, again, as beautiful as like sparkly, glittery ones or all sorts of wonderful resin ones, I probably would want them to be wood or metal. Stick to something. If I'm going to get stuff that I don't technically need but is fun, I would like it to be environmentally friendly where possible.
Really good point. And also, wooden dice are just the coolest thing. I don't have any. I want some.
Especially if they smell good as well.
Yeah. Are we allowed to see your one set? What do they look like?
Oh, yeah, sure. They are, I've held them up on stream before. They are
those lovely ones.
Red and black and swooshy and gold.
They are very Valka dice, red and black, but somehow warm and nice.
Yeah.
I will kill you, but I will make you a cup of tea. Yeah. Possibly simultaneously.
Yeah. That's about right.
Sounds brilliant. I wanted to ask about Valka. Well, not about Valka in particular, about your characters, but Valka's the one I have played with. So it's the one who springs to mind. In game, you hit people with weapons spectacularly well. Yeah. Thomas too. In real life, you hit people with weapons spectacularly well.
Not true. I look like I hit people with weapons.
That's true. You pretend to hit people. Which do you prefer and why?
Hitting them or pretending to hit them, or in real life versus in game?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, this is me just going, tell me about weapons, Nat. You're so cool. Okay. Talk to me about swords and axes and shields and quarterstaffs.
Okay. For those who don't know, as part of my Nat Does acting sphere of stuff that I do, I am trained in stage combat. I've been doing it for 11 years now. Long time. Feel old. Good. To the point where actually the weekend just gone, I was doing an axe fighting course, and actually in my 10 years I'd never done axes. I've done every possible variation of rapier fighting and great swords and quarterstaffs and all of the above, swords and shields and all of that, but axes had never quite come my way, which is why I wanted to do it. And we are now that was yeah, 5 days later, I still have the bruises.
Ooh.
I'm still a bit like, oh, I feel like that.
Sorry, Matt, I missed that. Could you tell me again? How are you feeling?
Sorry, insert old person noise. It's that, like, you're in your 30s when you make a noise when you get up out of the sofa.
Wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't, because you're some kind of ageless fey creature.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get there, when you reach your second 1,000 years,
Okay.
you'll maybe start making noises.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so it's the thing. It's the thing I do. It's the thing I really enjoy doing. I do it in a professional context at the Globe, which because you came to see.
I do. I brought my small teenage relative with me to see Nat, and the aim was that she would think I was cool by extension of being friends with Nat, which sort of worked. But the main thing was she thinks Nat is the coolest person in the entire world.
It was very sweet. It was very lovely. But yeah. So at the Globe, we do demonstrations to the public about the kinds of swords and weaponry that were happening in Shakespeare's day, and put them in context of both in the plays and in real life. And you get to see a little bit of choreography based on those different weapons. So the ones that I know really well are the more Elizabethan style rapier, greatsword, quarterstaff, sword and shield, short sword, that kind of stuff. But I've covered the gumut as well. So small sword, I think, is one of my favorites because it gets so fancy and posy. You're just kind of going ting 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 ting. And it can be so fast, and it is much more like a dance. It's more like modern day fencing that you'd see for sports, but with a bit more flair and pizzazz about it.
Added murder.
Absolutely.
How hard do you have to work to not equip every single martial character you play with a small sword?
Oh, I don't at all, because in D&D, the majority of the time, the small swords are for very rich people who want to show off. So someone like Viorica having a rapier or a small sword, absolutely great. So far I've tended to play lower class characters. I'm a working class gal. That comes through. It's one of those where. So for me, a rapier on a character who wouldn't have had that background wouldn't make sense in the real world. I mean, in D&D, whatever, what makes sense for the stats. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've not played characters for which a rapier would make sense, because actually the majority of characters I've played have been frontliner tanky characters, and you want big swords, axes, or a trident in Mirren's case.
Tridents are cool. Have you fought with a trident in real life?
I have not, no.
Why?
But,
what's wrong with you? Your disappointment.
Funnily enough, it's slightly more obscure.
Weird.
But yeah, trident and net is a classic fighting combo. Obviously, comes from a fishing background, and yeah, it would work in a similar way to using a spear, but obviously you've got the added benefits of, because you've got the 3 prongs, like trapping and flipping your opponent's weapon out, entangling that, and the net obviously doesn't work like a shield would, but you'd be able to use it in the same way that you'd be able to use a cloak from rapier and cloak style fighting. So you'd be able to use it to confuse, disorientate your opponent, trap them, trip them, wrap it around your hands so you can punch them or grab onto their weapon and all. So I think it would be a very interesting system to work on, but I've not come across anyone teaching it yet.
Yeah, fair. I remember the time we covered rapier and cloak at drama school and just being like, this is the coolest thing. I thought you needed a pointy thing, but no, you need a hoodie. It was amazing.
Absolutely. That was one of my favorite fights that I've done, actually, is rapier and cloak, where it was a group fight, which I did last year. I put some pictures of it on my Instagram. So people desperately wanted to see me looking ridiculous, they can.
Please link Nat's Instagram to find pictures of her looking ridiculous.
But yeah, it was a group fight, and we did it as the Three Musketeers. So we all like drew little mustaches on, and everything was ridiculously pompous and over the top. Because in your exam, because you have to take exams, right? If you're learning a weapon system, to be qualified and prove that you can do that, you take an exam. So part of that is that you need to do it as in the context of a scene as well. It's not just you rock up, you pretend to hit each other and you walk away again. It's
Sadly.
Stage combat. So yes, we did it as the Three Musketeers, and it was just the most silly fun I've had, and exhausting as well. But there's so many things that you can do with a cloak to look like so fabulous and ridiculous at the same time as attacking someone. Love it.
Oh, sounds wonderful. And now you have actually picked up axes in real life. Does this mean we get to see Valka again at some point?
I hope so. It's one of those things. I've been you don't want to hog, because there's so many wonderful players that need to play, and I've been playing Thomas, which has been absolutely fantastic. So that's been the focus. But yeah, obviously we've got Skitter, but there's always been a desire to return to Valka, and she's got missions to accomplish. Although apparently has been to the Astral Sea. So some exciting things to unpick there.
It's going to be great. I can't wait. Yep. I really hope Valka comes back, because she's amazing. And before we do any spoilers, I'll roll the dice again.
Sure.
That was a natural 20. You answered this question last time, and it was really interesting. If you want to hear Nat talk about which character was the hardest to say goodbye to, go look at her old Talk Together. I'm going to roll again. That's better. That was a 3. Nat, what is your favourite character class?
Ooh. Yeah, again, it depends.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm rolling again.
I think any that are frontline combat are always kind of, that's my comfort zone, tanky characters where I get to just hit stuff. But I have had fun with spellcasters as well. Again, possibly. So this is the thing. I've played now that I have played all of them. I feel like I should have a clearer answer to this, but I think I am no clearer. And now it will have to wait until I've played every subclass, and then I can give you a balanced answer. What I can say is that the ones that I've had the greatest fun with have been paladins, barbarians, fighters, druids, so far.
You, in a different home game, you managed to play my favourite class in a way that made me hate it so much.
Oh no!
Surely your fantastic skill in creeping me out. Now a circle of spores druids in the most skin-crawlingly upsetting way that I don't know how to feel about the fact that my favourite class has my least favourite subclass in the world in, and that's all thanks to you.
I don't know what you mean. Amanita is adorable. How dare you?
Adorable and covered in fungus and bugs.
Yeah, she's disgusting.
Yeah. Which you described in magnificently articulate and memorable detail.
Yeah.
While sitting very next to me, very next to me, very close next to me on a sofa. I just inched away slowly.
Yeah. That was one of my favourite moments of that home one shot, where my character was trying to persuade the DM, the wonderful Joe, your fella.
My fella, he is wonderful.
I was trying to persuade him of something and offered this merchant one of her fleas, and me personally as Nat was not expecting it to go down well, but the character was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So we had this exchange of me being like, well, passing it over, and Rebecca was sat between us just going, no. This is terrible.
To exchange imaginary fleas over me. It was simultaneously completely wonderful and delightful, and make it end now. Oh, I loved it. But that's one of my favorite things about D&D is characters I will never play ever because I can't pull them off or because they disgust me. Thank you, Nat. You get to watch someone else be like, oh, that's really cool. Cool, that's enough, go winner.
Yeah.
Right.
I have that with people who play wizards really well. Like I feel, and again, it might just be that I don't have the in-depth knowledge of all of the spells still. Not to the extent that I use them regularly. Because again, like playing martial characters, you get to know the D&D rules. You don't necessarily get to learn and remember and just retain all of the spells or what they can do. So I enjoy watching people play high-level wizards when they know what they are doing and can be like, right, this spell that you would expect to work one way, actually, rules as written, I can play it this way as well, and look what that does. And yeah, like Em has done some amazingly clever stuff with Shivarath that I'm just like, I'd have no idea, but this is great. Yeah. You do that.
Yeah, Shivarath does some really cool things. And whenever it comes to high-level wizards being cool, I obviously think of George Rebecca in Icewind Dale Corrupted and then Baldur's Gate, Gloom Falls. And just, for me, that was the subclass shift. In Icewind Dale Corrupted, Ash Rebecca was a necromancer and then turned to an abjurer because she fell in love and wanted to protect people, and so she buried all her zombies and went off to go kick some ass with her girlfriend. It was excellent, but for me that was a masterclass in how you can change the mechanics and that will change your whole character, or vice versa, how the two can work together. I think up to that point I'd always been like, cool, I have my character sheet and the numbers, and then I have my character and my acting, and watching George change Asher and everything about her while still being completely the same character. I was like, oh, you're really good at this. Yeah. It
was as an outside observer, it was also very enjoyable to watch.
Was that just also because watching me and George awkwardly flirt?
Yeah, absolutely. The best kind of romance is awkward romance.
Why would I ever want to be competent at flirting? It's always much more fun if you're socially awkward.
Coming from two married people, this is how romance happens. It's awkward. And
yeah. Are you saying that yours wasn't?
No, they'd 15 years and yeah, awkward.
Yeah, we're less awkward now because, marriage, but definitely way back when, all the quadruple negatives and would you mind, hello, I quite like you, or would you maybe, yes, no, okay. Yeah,
this is how this works.
Yeah, and just, Asherah and Persephone absolutely epitomized that the best romance is when two of you are desperately embarrassed that everyone around you is laughing. Cool, marriage lessons from Nat and Rebecca. We should start our own podcast. We won't do that, don't worry.
All I can say is if you think you're smooth and you've got thing and it's going well, you're doing it wrong.
Or we envy you, teach us your ways.
Both are true.
Shall we have another question?
Let's do it.
We did warn you that Nat and I were just going to talk absolute rubbish for an hour. This is another great question. Nat, what spell or ability would you have in real life if you
prestidigitation?
And I'm going to ban prestidigitation and wish.
No,
because they're too obvious. Because obviously it'll be prestidigitation. Why would you not?
Yeah. I mostly because the biggest gripes in my life are that I have to spend time and effort to stay clean, and I have to spend time and effort for my house to stay clean.
Yeah,
these are things that get in the way of me doing shit. So
hitting people with axes.
Yeah. So that would be okay. Well, if it's not that,
I'm sorry. It's only because I completely agree with you that the obvious answer is prestidigitation, so you're not allowed it.
I think I answered this when I was supposed to be interviewing Hannah.
Oops.
It was either Hannah or Evie, and they fired the question back at me, which disgraceful behavior.
Done it to me already tonight. How dare you?
And the other one was, and I still can't remember the name of the spell. It was like tongues, the one where you can speak and understand languages.
Is it comprehend languages?
Maybe.
Oh no, that's the one where you can read it, isn't it? There is one where you can speak and hear it. That would be cool. That would be brilliant. Human languages or animal languages or both? What would you pick?
Oh, I mean, I was mostly considering human languages, but talk to animals would be kind of cool. I think I'd probably be more interested in talk to plants, because what is up with that? Animals, you can kind of guess. Yeah, you can't have deep conversations with them, but animal is angry, you can tell. Animal is sad, you can tell. Give it a scritch. But plants, what is up with plants? I don't know. I'm not a very good plant keeper. I have a garden. It's not in great shape. I would love to be some kind of person who grows all of their own herbs and knows how to make like poultices and wise womany stuff, like someone who wafts sage around.
This is again where Valka has come from.
Yes, very much.
Axis, sage. Got it.
Yes. I would love to know about plants. That's a good point. So between Valka and Thomas is supposed to know a bit, and Amanita, obviously, druid, more interested in fungus and plants than people or animals. This is clearly the message my subconscious is telling me, is trying to be a person who gets on with plants and knows what plants are about. Is one of my high level goals. What was the question?
I don't know.
I want to speak to languages.
Though I feel like if we could actually speak to plants, what would we ever eat ever?
That's true. They do say that carrots scream.
I beg your pardon? You can't just throw that one off the cuff and then move on.
I'm pretty sure I've read this before. At some frequencies, carrots scream when you dig them up. Is this a fever dream? I feel like it happened.
Now you're doing it again.
What? Yes, we would have to eat only, I don't know, beans are plants as well. We're screwed, basically.
We're basically screwed. Maybe some of them are horrible, though.
Yes.
Maybe you would just find that all leeks are terrible, and then you'd be all right. Or you could go travel around until you find a farm where every single pig on that farm was a jerk, and then eat that bacon. Yeah. Because what we're saying is, if people are mean, it's okay to eat them. Is I think my line of logic right now.
Yeah, I mean that would solve some level of food poverty. Sure, let's eat criminals. Cannibalism is the way forward.
Jonathan Swift came pretty close to that, but he was joking.
For clarity and legal reasons, so was I.
Also me. I do not believe that cannibalism is allowable if someone's mean.
No.
Well, the Roll Together lawyers can stand down.
There was a thing I was going to say, and it's gone because cannibalism happened.
Sorry.
I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe roll it dice.
Yeah, okay. What would Tom say? Pulling the fire alarm.
Yeah, go.
That is an 11. What's an 11? Oh, Nat, who is your favourite character?
Oh, no. This is another terrible question.
Thanks.
Depends.
It doesn't have to be one of your characters, I guess. It could just be any character in the world. The whole question is just your favourite character.
Commander Shepard in Mass Effect. No. That's not even the Roll Together universe. I don't know. I think there's so many in the Roll Together universe. There are so many characters that have brought me joy to watch other people play. Veracity is one of them, yes. But
you don't have to say that just because it's me.
although Ava as well, freaking loved Ava.
So much more fun playing Ava than I was anticipating. I never skew creepy, but was like, okay, it's a folk horror campaign. I should skew creepy, I guess. Loved it.
Oh, this is going to be such a hard. Wait, is this who I am actually?
So it didn't have to be nice to people, didn't have to pretend to like people, didn't have to talk to people, just had to get the wand of Orcus and be creepy.
And you did. Boxes ticked.
I was helped by the miraculously brilliant Evie being spectacularly creepy right next to me. You know, everything's easier if you have Evie.
Yeah. Just in life, not in roleplay. Just like everyone needs their own Evie.
I kind of think everyone does need their own Evie. She is incredible as a person and as a role player. But also,
I loved
trying
Ephemera
to be creepy.
as well. Ephemera and bugger, but Silver is one of my other, like, I've really enjoyed watching. I mean, the pair of you together was always going to be this delightful, ever so softly spoken viciousness, which is one of my favorite things. So yeah.
I don't know what you mean, Natalie. I am lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm contractually very nice.
Yes.
I'm just very happy about that. Quick, keep going back.
I'm trying to think of other, like, Milk. I really enjoyed watching Red playing Milk. That again, that kind of, I think the crux of it is when delightful and creepy crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another reason why I really enjoyed playing my Spores Druid. But and it's funny, I guess, because that's not really what I've brought to any of my characters on stream, in that way. Although Valka had moments of just being like, right, no, you listen here, when she is soft and squishy.
Yeah, Valka's not. I was trying to think, have I seen you do it? I'd love to see you do delightful and creepy. It'd be not with the insects, but just in general, it would be so good. But yeah, Valka is the closest. She's not creepy, she's just savage.
Yeah.
Soft and
but not in a sort of intellectual hit you with my words kind of way, but just in a
like Mama Bear.
Stop that now.
Way. Yeah, I would want her to simultaneously, like, put a plaster on my knee and tell me everything's going to be okay, and then turn around to the bullies who push me over and go, I love her so much. Veracity loves her very much indeed.
Such a love fest.
Oh, well, I'm being really nice to you. I'm sorry. I should.
I know.
You suck. Better?
Yeah, that's much better, actually. Yeah, I feel more comfortable now.
Okay, cool. Is the imposter syndrome better now?
Yeah.
If I'm being mean and asking you to pick your own favourite character.
Again, kind of when mood strikes, like, it will change. I actually, the closest to that goofy and creepy coming together is possibly not from a Roll Together stream, but is Gwynedd from Merely Role Players. My character there, I had spoken about her in the previous talk together, but for those who didn't see it, we're playing a game that we call Vigil, but it's using the Monster of the Week engine. And we're telling a story of, it's very similar to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because Monster of the Week, but if it was set in a small, quaint British market town. And the monsters, demons, everything like that exist, but normal people forget them once they're not exposed to their presence really quickly. And there was a government agency set up to protect the general public from said monsters, creepies, and investigate their presences. But austerity cuts mean that the Sherry Down's local branch had been shut down. So it's kind of been left to a group of rogue vigilantes, some of whom are human and some of whom are not. And Gwynedd, my character, was a shield maiden for the Morrigan thousands of years ago. And she ended up getting cursed because there was a human man that she little mermaided over.
Are you just playing Eowyn? Is that
possibly? But,
less time looking drippy, I hope. But
yes.
Good.
There was a human man that she little mermaided over that then the Morrigan was going to curse, and Gwynedd saved the man, so the Morrigan cursed her instead to live as a duck.
A duck.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in the modern day, she was uncursed and
She's
is
a really,
now
really old duck.
well, it was just an immortal duck living living in the Sheridan duck pond. It is, the local legend about the black duck of Sheridan, and the local pub is named the Duck and Parsnip and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so she is that. It's somewhere between a druid and a paladin in that she has that goth gone to Glastonbury look, but and has all this creepiness associated with the Morrigan and the crows, and that sense of creeping dread, and everything's a bit dark, but also she's very interested in the humans and the human stuff, and what is this new technology? How does this work? And she has that element of learning what the modern world is like. So there's humor and goofiness that comes out of that, whilst also having spooky times. So yeah, there was a moment in one of the recent series where another character was going house hunting, and Gwyn had gone along.
To clarify, because this is fantasy, house hunting, looking to buy a house, or like hunting down a lethal killer house?
Oh, that is a really good question, because one of the series was a shop that turned into a monster. But in this case, we are looking at a genuine house to live in.
Great.
And Gwyn had gone along to help and make sure that the house was not cursed, but was lamenting the lack of soil inside the house. And there were too many windows, so too many areas where enemies could get in, and this is all wrong. And Percy, the other character, was like, no, actually, I like the windows, Gwyn, thank you. So we had, I enjoy that place.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. Can we hear a snippet of what Gwyn sounds like?
Oh, well, Gwyn is Welsh, because the Morrigan actually came from Celtic folklore. So that could be Irish and it could be Welsh. I was scared about doing an Irish accent in a professional circumstance, so I stuck with the Welsh because that's what I know.
He sounds wonderful. Yes. How can we find Merely Role Players? How can we listen to that joy?
Search Merely Role Players. They're on the Twitters and the Instagrams, and wherever you get podcasts. I can look up a picture of what the cover looks like right now. If you found like two dice and they're like the comedy tragedy faces, but dice, cool. That's the one. No, don't go there. Look in this bit. This is great viewing. There you go. That's what Merely Role Players look like.
That's adorable. Okay.
Yeah. We're on a little bit of a break at the moment, just because technical things to do with recording and editing and all of that kind of thing. But we've got quite the back catalogue to go and listen to. But Gwyn appears in some of the episodes under the Vigil story arc.
Yeah, I know what I'm going to go listen to this afternoon. This sounds wonderful. What? This isn't pre-recorded? I mean, later on this evening.
Yes.
Time. Quick, roll the dice. Fire alarm. That's another nat 20, for goodness sake. Yet again.
This is good. This is good, though, because that's reassuring that this is still the Rebecca that we know, right? Because you were rolling a couple of low numbers there.
I did roll a 2 and a 3. Yeah. Oh, dear. That is a 9. What would you say to a new player, Nat?
Do it, have fun. Yeah.
Rolling again?
Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of very wise things said in response to this question over various talk-togethers. So I would echo a lot of that. Make sure that there is a session 0 so you can chat to your DM and other players about your expectations. If they don't know about the safety toolkit, we've got one that the mods will probably link at some point. And it's really cool. Like, even if you go in being like, well, I think that we're all a mature enough group that we don't need to specifically say, let's not murder children in this. There might be someone who is specifically like, no, team, even if it comes up in a jokey way, like, I really can't cope with that. Mm-hmm. And you might not know that. So it's good to have these conversations beforehand. And stuff like the more common stuff is like spiders or graphic descriptions of blood and that kind of stuff. So all of that. One of the things for me, and again, it might just be a wanky actor thing. So I don't know if you find this or not. I've mentioned it before. I think the emotional inertia after playing a game, especially highly emotionally charged sessions, finding a way to disengage afterwards is great. I'm not, in general in life, I'm not really a journaler. I'll do like professional end of week reviews on like tasks and things that I have and haven't done and that kind of thing for Natalie Winter business brain. But I'm not like a diary keeper for personal reasons. But I do find it quite useful at the end of a session just to jot down, here's where my character is at emotionally. Are there conversations that I want to have with other characters based off that? I'll write them down, and then I'm not spending the next week going, oh, but I want to have that conversation. And what if I had that? What if I said that? What if I did that? It's all written down, so I can just at the start of the next session go, what am I thinking? Great. And because my brain, if I don't write stuff down, my brain likes to hold on to the thought just in case I forget.
Yes.
So I do find that I have had some times where I've woken up still feeling antsy after an emotional session or worrying about something. So the equivalent of talking to, if it's something that you need to talk to another player about, do it, right? Just send them a little message. Chances are they'll be absolutely fine, but it's worth sending the message. And anything that you think would be good to cover in future sessions, write it down. And then you don't have to think about it.
Really smart.
What I find is useful.
Really smart. I might start doing that myself. I don't write it down and then I just think about it for a week. Your idea is much better.
Yeah. I don't have time. I have too many other things I want to do with my life. I mean, yes, like sitting there and obsessing over D&D has become quite a big part of my life lately.
We're very lucky that we get to do this for
very incredibly lucky.
It's great.
It continues to be ridiculous. But yeah, there's times where you don't want to be sat there, where you actually have other things you need to be getting on with. So finding a way to detach is useful.
Yeah, I normally try and head out. Obviously not if we're finishing recording ridiculously late, but try and head out for a walk or a run or something to just, because there's so much adrenaline of like, oh, I killed a thing and I argued with that person and I had all these feelings and, oh, we've turned the computer off and
now I'm just sat in a dark room going, oh no.
I will drink a cup of tea and read a book. So I find it really useful to go do something, punch something, do something. By punch something, I mean like I box, not, find the nearest puppy.
You could have gone with anything but puppy, sure.
Well, my brain first went small child and went, nope, something better than that. Puppy.
Is it?
Yes. Both are very bad.
Yes.
Both are very, very bad.
Yes.
One is marginally worse than the other. I don't know.
Find a tree. Or even better, a punching bag. They're designed for it.
That is what I actually do because the lawyers are side-eyeing me. I do not advocate punching small children or puppies.
In no way, shape, or we're back to cannibalism. Oh no. The one thing I was going to say actually was that that's the element that I miss from doing recording sessions and playing sessions online. As wonderful as it is, and it means that I've had a chance to play with fantastic people that I would never get to play with otherwise, yourself included, is that as actors are known for being alcoholics, because at the end of a show, very often actors will go to the nearest pub and have a drink. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic drink, but it's part of the decompression process, right? And I love doing that after a role-playing session as well.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
not going to a pub, but having the time afterwards to just sit and chat and be mates again and not be focused on the game, and allows you to go, oh, that moment was really cool, or oh, I really liked it when this happened. And we've started doing that with we do stars and wishes at the end of sessions now, which again is great and really useful, and is part of that.
What stars and wishes, Nat?
Stars and wishes is a little process you can do after your session to acknowledge stuff, good stuff and bad stuff. So you go around and you award stars to people for moments that you really loved, role play that you thought was really great, a really clever use of a spell or an ability. Just moments that earned a big thumbs up from you that you really enjoyed. And wishes they're not negative. You don't go around saying that was terrible, I wish that didn't happen. It's more like this happened this time, so next time I would love to try this. For example, one of the recent in fact the next wibbly wobbly timey-wimey, the next 2 games of Warriors of Waterdeep that are going to come out, I was having some internet issues, and that then meant that there were some times where people were having conversations, and for them it was a perfectly normal conversation. For me it was everyone's gone silent for 3 seconds and then everyone's talking at the same time. So one of my wishes was, I wish I'd paused and moved upstairs sooner.
Yeah.
And that would have helped. So you might just see Thomas sat there going a little bit while I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So wishes can be things like that, or it can be things like, okay, we've set up this situation where these 2 characters are clashing. I'm fine with this now, but I'm looking forward to finding a solution where they can coexist together and move forward together without it being without undermining where they are in that place. Like, so for example, with Thomas and Naomi, them having a clash was set up from the start because of who they were in their careers, right? And again, we've discussed this before, so I don't feel like I need to go into lots of detail about it, but Niall and I get on really well, and we're both down for that level of PvP. But other people in the group weren't. Yeah. So it was about having a chat of being like, it's okay because yes, they're butting heads right now, but actually moving forward, I think we've resolved it, or we can do this to resolve it in the next session, and then they're going to move forward and it will be okay. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that you can cover in Stars and Wishes. And that's also really helpful for decompressing.
Yeah, for sure. And just gives you 10 minutes to go, hi, we're all people. Yeah.
Nice.
Now that's all we have time for.
You sure you don't want to roll the dice one more time?
I'm really sure. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Unfortunately, the exciting things that I've done recently are currently under NDA, so I cannot. But I will talk about it.
So cool.
I will shout about things when I'm allowed to shout about things. But otherwise, you can watch Warriors of Waterdeep on Tuesdays and Chaos in the Collection on Mondays. And I'm in them, and they're fun. And you can find me on the internet. I have social media accounts and websites and such.
Brilliant. Mods are hopefully beautifully, wonderfully popping those accounts into chat. I don't know which side I am. Right now. So yes, if you want to hear Nat shouting about things, go follow her on the internet, not in real life. Don't do that. Oh dear, Nat, you bring out the worst in me. I'm blaming you.
I accept.
On that note, thank you everyone for joining us and being part of the show. If you enjoyed us, and as always, even if you didn't, we stream every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. GMT, and we stream D&D games on Mondays and Tuesdays. As Nat has said, on Mondays 6 to 9 p.m. GMT, we are streaming Chaos in the Collection, and on Tuesdays it is getting towards the end of the third campaign of Warriors of Waterdeep. Nat is in both. If you that should just be a good enough reason to watch them, full stop. They're also just excellent. All of our shows stream at twitch.tv/RollTogetherRPG. There is a YouTube link in chat to get all our VODs. And don't forget, you can also enjoy us as a podcast. And finally, many thanks again to our wonderful dice heads, our D20 Club on Patreon, all of our sponsors and supporters. And
say it, Rebecca. Say it. Say it. I'm going to keep filibustering, and it's going to keep pushing up your time.
Stay classy at the table.
Yeah.
Have a good night.